Charlie O'Hara back in the studio answering your legal questions. 436-1212 is the number to dial if you have one. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning.
Back in the studio.
Nice to be here.
We have a few callers on the line. We're going to go ahead and get right to those, so we have plenty of time this morning. Hi there. What's your question for Charlie?
Hello?
Hi, go right ahead. What's your question?
Yes, I had a felony back in like 1980, and I was wondering if I had to have my record expunged in order to have a gun in my house legally.
Yeah, well, anytime you have a felony, you're not supposed to have a gun, and the law is pretty clear on that. So you're going to have to get that expunged. And what expungement means is you can legally file paperwork if you've had a felony in the past, and for certain kinds of felonies, not all of them, but for certain kinds of felonies, you can have them taken off your record, so you can basically tell everybody you've never been convicted before. So that's something that you can do for a lot of different reasons. It applies to guns, too. I'm always a little leery of telling people what they can do on guns because there's actually two laws on possession of guns. There's a state law that you can't have a gun after so many years after conviction of a felony, and there's a federal law that you never can again. So you have to be real careful with that. You want to make sure you do background checks and don't hide anything from anybody. You always want to tell the truth, but an expungement is probably going to allow you to have a gun.
You know, we've had several calls on this show about expungement, people asking those questions. Is it a lengthy process, an expensive process?
Well, I mean, it takes a little while, and it's probably best to have an attorney help you do it because you have to go through the legal system. But it's not that hard a process to do. It takes some time for the attorney. You actually have to go to court. The judge actually has to approve it. The prosecution, the district attorney can be heard on it. So there's a lot of things that happen, but you can get through it. It's not that difficult.
Okay, thank you, Charlie, and thank you for calling in. We have time for another caller this morning. Hi there, what's your question for Charlie?
Yeah, I have been a renter for 6 years now, and about once a year I get papers served to me from the court stating that my landlord is not paying the finance company. And the last one was last year, and the sale was supposed to happen in November. And I've heard that there's a 90-day right of redemption in the state of Kansas. My thing is we're still within the 90 days of that sale. I have found a new house, and we're going to be moving next week, and I haven't given notice yet. Has everything that has happened already broke my lease between me and my landlord, or what would happen with that?
Well, actually, as I've said a number of times, a lease or an agreement to rent is a contract between the parties. So you can contract to do basically whatever legally you want to do. So I don't know what your lease says. The fact that you got the letter is probably not something that breaks your lease. I mean, if he doesn't own the property and you change landlords, the bank is the one that it becomes your landlord, that can or cannot break the lease. I don't know what the lease is. If it's a month-to-month lease, you're supposed to give 30 days notice, a month's notice. If it's not a month's lease, then whatever notice the lease says you're supposed to give. So I don't know what the proceedings are, but I kind of doubt you've broken the lease yet.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. Good luck with that. We have time now for one more call this morning. Hi there, what's your question?
My question is, my mother has been deceased. We buried her in the Mount Hope Cemetery. They up and moved her without calling any of us. We feel they broke her urn when they moved her. What can we do? Well,
that's an unusual question, and I think with something like that, I don't think they're supposed to be doing that. You've purchased it, so usually you purchase a plot, so it's supposed to be there. I would think to move it, they're going to have to move a body. They're going to have to notify the relatives. I think you better get a hold of an attorney. Something sounds desperately wrong with that. So I think I'd get a hold of an attorney and find out what's going on. Again, there's probably contracts as to how that was done also. Usually, whenever you do something, there's an agreement. Whatever that written agreement is controls. But that doesn't sound like one would agree to.
No, not at all. Okay, thank you, Charlie. And thank you for calling in. Good luck with that. We appreciate it. If you can stay on the line, our producer can get your number. Get your phones ready. Next week, Charlie will be back. He comes every Wednesday to answer your legal questions, and we really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.